As the CEO of Zalou Creatives, I design and style outfits for every event. Weddings, graduations, Netflix and chill, work, you name it, I have the look for you. All this while branching out into other creative fields. It's a lot of work, but I've come a long way as a self-taught designer who studied accounting. I'm a go-getting girl boss, but best of all, I'm a wife and a mom. I'm Sebastian with an I, and this is my best life.
Hey bosses! So, I hope you're well, and yeah, I have not been on camera. I have not been uploading in a long time, and I think you know, I'm not proud because like overall I've been like really in and out of YouTube for the longest time now. So this is like the first video of the year, and I just really wanted to take it back and tell you guys my story and just share with you guys my story, everything, how everything started and where it all began, and especially the story of my brand, my clothing line, Zalou, and tell you how we got here and where we got. So let's get to it. I was born in Durban. My mom is from Durban. My family pretty much is from Durban. I was born in Durban, 13th July 1996. My mom says it was a Saturday. That is a little bit TMI, but yeah. My full names are Sibahle, Tanya, Nkom. Fun fact, I will tell you later like how Tanya came about, my second name. It's actually a funny story. So when I was born, my mom and dad were together, and then they separated when I was 2. So when I was 2, I went to go live with my grandmother at Inanda in Durban. That's where my grandmother's house is at. And my mom moved to Joburg to start a new life. So as she was just starting a new life, she left her job and all of that, so she couldn't really take me with her, so I had to stay with my grandmother. So I stayed with my grandmother and my elder sister. I have an elder sister. She's like 6 years older than me, so yeah. She was already staying with my grandmother, so when we have the same mother but not the same father, so hence why she was staying with my grandmother, not with my mom and my dad. So I went to live with my grandmother at Inanda, and then ever since I was like 2. And that's where the relationship with my dad like literally broke down, and after that like I literally never saw him again ever since. So like I don't really have a relationship with my dad, and he has passed on. So yeah, so when I was staying at Nanda with my sister, I was literally so young. I wasn't even in school yet. I think it was like around 3, 4 when my sister was in primary school, and I used to take her pencil and her exercise book and draw dresses. Let's like literally that's when it started with like this whole thing. I just like always had like designs for dresses in my mind, and I'll see it in magazines. I will look at magazines and just get inspired and want to draw stuff. I drew women in clothes literally from ever since I could hold a pencil. So unfortunately my grandmother passed on when I was in grade 3, so I went to, instead of going to live with my mother in Joburg, I went to live with my mother's eldest sister at KwaMaphumulo. That's where I went to Umphumulo Primary School. There was like from grade 4 till grade 7. So from there I've literally been drawing dresses. I've literally been doing dresses like the entire time. So after grade 7, then I was like going into high school. That's when I finally went to live with my mother in Joburg. So we lived in Soweto, and then we went to live in Eldorado Park. So I lived with her for 2 years, which is grade 8 and grade 9. That's where I went to Riashuma High School. Oh no, it was actually Riashuma Secondary School. That school was fun, you know, you guys, because I think my mind was starting to open up when I went to high school. I was like, I think I'm becoming an adult, you know. So that I really enjoyed the school. Like, it was so fun. Yeah. But let me tell you, if that's where I really started being aware of myself and being aware of my life and starting to make decisions. Because I was like, I remember going to Rashuma and it was so fun, and all I remember is just me tazaphezwa matafula, giving up on my desk and all of that. I don't actually remember what I was learning. I don't actually remember what I was studying. I don't even know. I can't remember what my grades were, because I'm naturally an A student, but I can't remember. I can't remember. What I know though is I was not getting A's, because I remember kube ama award ceremonies and I wouldn't get any awards, and it was like strange for me because I've always been an A student. I was always position 1 in my primary school, and then I was not anywhere. I felt very average, and I don't like feeling average. That's just me. That's when I decided I was still doing dresses, and that's when I think I had already decided. I decided in high school that I wanted to have a clothing line, and I wanted to have a brand. But okay, now it came time to like, okay, obviously this is grade 10, so you need to really start thinking about careers and stuff. And I had already chosen that time. I wanted to be an accountant because I was very good at EMS. So back a little bit. When I was in grade 5, was doing like, I think it was still like EMS and stuff like that. I was really good at that, and I really liked it. I asked my teacher, so what can I possibly do with the EMS, and he was like, you might want to be an accountant. And I was like, that sounds fun. And then I told my mother, and my mother was like, an accountant is actually good. And she also wanted to be an accountant herself. She's actually a bookkeeper, so which is sort of like a version, I mean, like a derivative of accountancy. So I pursued that, and that's when I got grade 10 and decided to go with the commerce stream and do accounting, business studies, and economics. So when I was in grade 9 and I was in Joburg living with my mother studying at Rashuma, I was like, I don't like feeling average. I think I want to go to boarding school so that I can be independent and focus on my studies and like literally have time to study. My mom was like, you know, she wasn't so happy about that. But then yeah, one time literally I was like, okay, fine. So grade 10, I get up, get dressed, go to school, and then while I was at school, I see my mom's car. I'm like, that's my mom's car. And literally they call me to the office and they're like, okay, so yeah, and I tell you, that time my mom was like, okay, we're going home, you're gonna pack your clothes, and we are going to boarding school. Like, so I was like, but luckily it was a boarding school where I actually know people, and because I did live at Kamapumulo for like 4 years, so most of the kids a primary in Pumulo went to Vile, so it was fun. I went there and it was like we just continued from where we stopped. I knew people. But I'm like really grateful for taking that decision. I really stepped into myself when I went to boarding school. So yeah, after matric, it then came time to like apply, and actually during matric, so it then came time to apply for courses. That's when like because my passion for fashion was literally just growing, and I was like, I think I want to go do fashion design, not accounting anymore. But like, okay, so my family and everyone was like, no, you know, and then I understand, like, our family wants the best for us, and I understand, because my parents feel like they want to protect us from risks. So it was more like, you know, don't pursue your own thing, it's very risky. Fashion industry is risky, it's very up and down, and you won't know, it's like, it's not secure, you need something secure. So study accounting and get a cushion job and all of that. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna pursue accounting. I'm gonna go ahead with the plan. I'm gonna pursue accounting until I qualify, and then I'm gonna go into fashion and start my own business. So yeah, it was always like that. And then again, that's how I ended up studying become accounting at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. My passion for fashion just continued to grow. First of all, like at first year when I got into university, you didn't have to wear a uniform anymore, so I could really indulge in fashion and like really wear what I wanted to wear. So it just really got fun. And at first year, I won the Style Icon of the Year award. We film a function, and I was like, I think that was a sign of, it's okay, something's really going on here. And then I won the award second year as well. I think I won it 3 times. I think third year as well. I think so. So how the name Zalou came up is literally one day I was doing matric, and one day I was like, you know, I think it was a free period, and we're just like doodling stuff on the board, and I was talking to my friend. I was like, you know what, it literally came from hearing abafana baseklasini and just like boys around like talking, and they called each other Zalou. It's how Zalou, then I did this and that. So I was like, and I was just so impressed that it's like a universal word. It's just a universal reference that just unites people, even though they're not like literally related, because it means like they're not related by blood, but like I acknowledge you as my brother, as my family. So I just really liked the reference. So I was talking to my friend on the board, and I was like, I want to start a brand, and I'm gonna call it Zalou. And I literally wrote that name on the board in matric, and I was like, it's gonna be called Zalou with a full stop at the end, because that's just it. We are all just united, and we are all united regardless of whether we are related or not. And I was like, oh, that is so deep, and it just felt right. Ever since then, it just felt right, and I've never deviated from it. It just felt right. It just set. So oh, I did deviate a little bit from it at some point, but it's still, the other name just didn't feel right. So I literally one day I was like, because I was using YouTube to study accounting, sort of to get concepts explained in it. I was like, you know, one time, let me just search and see what I can find on sewing. So I was like, how to sew a skirt, and I was like, I saw tutorials, and I was like, you know what, I think I can do this. And luckily I had a cousin that stayed a following, and they had a sewing machine. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna attempt and see what happens. So I went and bought some material. It was like so super cheap. Super cheap. And then I went to her house and started sewing. Let me tell you, when I started sewing, literally the first time I I started sewing, I put my foot on the pedal, I cried. I literally cried. It was like so unbelievable. It was unreal. Like, I cried. I can't tell you how I was feeling. I literally just cried when the first time I touched Elan's sewing machine. The first time I actually pressed my foot on the pedal and it made a noise and I started sewing, I cried. Anyway, that skirt, I can't even remember what color was it or what was happening, but it turned out horrible. Like, we all laughed because it was horrible. So okay, long story short, I kept on buying material and going to a place to try and sew some stuff, and they all turned out horrible. So when second year started, I was like, you know what, I am going to buy my sewing machine and I'm going to keep it at rest. So I bought myself a sewing machine and I kept it at rest, and literally I would attend my classes in the morning and then come back and sew throughout the night. I would like sit here with my YouTube and be like, how to make pants, and start cutting and sew, and it wasn't turning out right. Like, literally you could see that this is like a shabby job. And I would ask my friend, can you tell I made it myself? And my friend would be like, yeah, I can tell, it doesn't look that great. And my cousin would be like, it looks like you bought it from a very, very cheap place. I was like, but then I kept trying, and I kept learning. Like, I would watch a lot of YouTube tutorials on how to make stuff, how to stitch, how to buy material. There's literally all that information is literally on YouTube. So how I actually started selling. So when I started sewing, I was actually like doing stuff for myself. The other thing that really motivated me to make my clothes is that I was like this tiny. I was so small. Like, I think I wore like a size 26, 28. I was so small, and I'm short too. So it was really, really hard to find a size or like that actually fits nicely and looks good, you know. So I wanted to wear, you know, my own style and have my own stuff and wear everything that I wanted to wear, that I felt like. So I was like, okay, you know what, I really need to start sewing very soon as well. So I really made a lot of stuff for myself, and I was like dressing up for lectures. Dressing up when I went to lectures. So okay, so I dressed up and it was so nice. And then, yeah, obviously people started asking, oh, hey, where did you get what you're wearing? I'm like, I made it myself. That's like one of my proudest moments. I'm like, oh, I made it myself. And they're like, can you make it for me? And I'm like, yeah. How much are you going to charge? I was like, charging peanuts. Let me tell you, I would charge people like 200 rands, 250. I was literally charging peanuts. And I'm like, okay, I'll make it for you. Yeah, you know, it started like that. And I was like, let me raise my price a little bit. Until, yeah, I kept raising my price until now. Then I made some money, got myself an overlock, made some money, kept buying stuff that I need for sewing. Okay, then came graduation. So I graduated accounting, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm doing postgrad. But the more I'm doing it, it's like my passion for fashion is really growing, and I like the fact that I get to create new things all the time. I'm like, we get to do a matric dance dress, a graduation dress, a wedding dress, all of that, some casual things. I really like that. So I realized that I'm not the person who likes doing the same thing all the time, exactly the same way. So that's why after graduation and when I was doing my postgrad and I started working, and I was like, that's why I felt like that's mostly why it did not work out. So I went to work as a trainee accountant for 6 months, and I resigned. I resigned because, like, wow. There were, amongst other things, there was a lot of reasons why I resigned. I don't want to talk about the company. It was just tragic. Like, it was not a good environment at all. But I now looking back, there was not just one. That was not just it. That's not the only reason why I resigned. And it was more of like, I felt very boxed in by the work, because accounting is about rules. There's a lot of rules. Like, you need to do things a certain way and stick to a certain standard all the time. So after doing that a couple of times with a few companies, I was bored. 6 months in, I was literally like, I felt like I literally knew that I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I was like, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to be unhappy. So I left my job in 2019, I think. Yeah, I left my job in 2019, and then, but I kept studying as well. And yeah, and I'm like, I finally went full-time business in 2021. Yeah. I finally went full-time business in 2021, or like end of 2020. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go all in because I really like this, and I feel like I'm just stifled by accounting. It's better that I just like do this and focus on this and just put in as much work and my best and see how far I can take it. At least then I'm not gonna be stuck at some job and wondering what would have happened if I'd followed my dream. At least I'm doing it. At least I know, you know. If maybe, if God forbid it doesn't work out at the end, I want to say I tried. I did my best. I put in my best effort. So yeah, this is me putting my best effort, and 2022 is like, it's just gonna be insane. I'm like literally putting 200%. I've always put like 110%, but I'm putting like 200% this year. That's why I'm filming at midnight. Yeah, so there's so many things that I want to achieve with the brand. I really want to grow into a company this year. That's my goal, because I feel like for a long time I've been pursuing two passions, so I wasn't actually giving everything that I could possibly give. The other stuff I was doing did take time from it, and when I started doing it full time, I really started to see some growth. So this year I really want to just like get it organized, get it structured, and be a proper, really proper, I mean proper company, you know, and take it seriously, dead seriously. So yeah, that's the plan, and yeah, I really enjoy my job. I love it. And yeah, so now I am juggling being a mom. I'm a wife as well, married in 2020 June, and yeah, I'm so lucky to have a husband that really supports me, because when I was leaving my job, I was like, I want to leave my job, but I don't know good things because I have bills to pay. And he was like, you know what, I need you to be happy, so I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to make sure that you're happy. So when you can leave your job and just pursue your career, and I'll support you. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it, because let me tell you, I was really miserable at the job. Like, I was literally crying on my way to work. Like, I would be driving and be like because it was just getting too much. I was like, I cannot live like this. I cannot live like this in a job I hate for the rest of my life. Anyway, I think that's it for the story. I hope I wasn't all over the place. And yeah, so right now I am 26, and I have am I 26? No, I'm not 26. I'm 25, turning 26 this year. But I'm hoping to have ticked a lot of boxes by the time I'm 30. So that's why I want to really focus on my company this year. So that's me, and that's Zalou. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.